You're alone. No fire, no weapons, no tribe. Just you, stumbling through a dark forest 40,000 years ago. Then you hear it. A single low howl ripples through the trees, quickly followed by a dozen more voices joining in from every direction. Prehistoric gray wolves. These were large hypercarnivores that brought down bison and juvenile mammoths. They operated with a pack intelligence refined over millions of years of hunting large prey, equipped with bone-crushing jaws specifically adapted to snap thick femurs to get to the marrow inside. And they are closing in on you. You can't outrun a coordinated pack that hits 37 miles per hour. You have no claws to swipe with, flat teeth useless for defense, and terrible night vision. Logically, a lone human should not walk out of that forest. Yet the fossil record reveals early humans survived these encounters consistently. We lived alongside these predators in the exact same valleys, competing for the exact same prey for tens of thousands of years. The modern assumption is that our ancestors survived by fighting back with spears and fire, but a lone human, separated from their group and caught off guard at night, usually had absolutely nothing. This chart compares the sheer mass of a 150-pound unarmed human against a prehistoric pack of up to 15 wolves. The numbers show the raw physical reality. Defeating them through force was impossible. Because ancient humans could not win a physical fight, their survival relied on an entirely different mechanism. They had to bypass physical combat entirely and manipulate the predator's own psychology. When a prey animal freezes, panics, or suddenly bolts, it triggers an instinct biologists call predatory pursuit drive. For a wolf, the urge to chase a running target is hardwired and immediate. Our ancestors learned through trial and error to disrupt that sequence. They stood their ground, they maintained direct eye contact, and they produced loud, low, unpredictable sounds. This flowchart illustrates the constant vital calculation running in a predator's brain. Wolves are cautious hunters. They constantly weigh the caloric reward of a meal against the risk of injury. A single wound during a hunt can be a death sentence for an animal without access to medicine. A human who refuses to run, throwing rocks and screaming, introduces an unknown variable. That erratic behavior inflates the risk side of the equation, often forcing the pack to abort the attack rather than risk a broken leg. Making noise and standing tall cause temporary confusion, but those surface-level tactics alone would never hold off an intelligent circling pack indefinitely. The wolves would eventually test the bluff. The true defense mechanism was entirely involuntary. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux identified an ancient biological system in the mammalian brain called the defensive survival circuit. It is emergency software installed tens of thousands of years ago. Before you can consciously process a threat, this circuit has already hijacked your nervous system. It spikes your adrenaline, dilates your pupils, and primes your muscles for explosive action.
Crucially, it triggers a severe auditory shift. Under extreme threat, human vocal cords adjust automatically. Your voice drops in pitch and sharply increases in volume. To a wolf, that involuntary shift sounds less like panicked prey and more like a rival predator staking a claim. Studies show modern wolves are nearly 5 times more nocturnal than humans, operating as an evolutionary response just to avoid that specific human signal. Without realizing it, we were broadcasting a biological signal that convinced apex predators we were the true danger in the forest, keeping us alive in encounters where the physical odds were stacked entirely against us. In 1994, archaeologists entered the Chauvet Cave in France. Inside, preserved in clay for 26,000 years, they found over 400 paintings of ancient animals. Deep in the back of the cave, they discovered something extraordinary: the fossilized footprints of an 8 to 10-year-old barefoot child carrying a torch. And walking calmly beside that child for 150 feet through the dark, the paw prints of a large wolf. They weren't running. They were moving together. Over thousands of repeated encounters, humans and wolves began a behavioral negotiation. Both species hunted in coordinated groups,
communicated through posture, and fiercely protected their young. This recognition of shared social structures laid the groundwork for a generational shift. Wolves that were naturally less fearful approached human camps for leftovers, gaining a consistent food source. Because these calmer individuals survived better and raised more pups, their curiosity was passed down, gradually transforming the species from the outside in. The lone human who stood their ground in the dark survived the night. That exact survival mechanism set the foundation for the longest interspecies partnership in the history of life on Earth. That ancient defensive survival circuit is still active inside you right now. If you hear a sudden noise in a dark parking lot, your pupils dilate and your heart rate spikes before your conscious brain even registers it. That is 40,000 years of wolf encounter data firing in your nervous system. And the sleeping dog at the foot of your bed tonight descends from a bold wolf who stood at the edge of the firelight, looked at an upright ape, and made a calculation that we were worth knowing. So, a question. If you were a lone Paleolithic human surrounded by a wolf pack, are you choosing option A, screaming and throwing rocks, or option B, quietly climbing a tree and waiting until morning? Let me know and be honest. If you're grateful to live in a time with walls and locked doors, hit the like button. Those ancient wolves did not go through tens of thousands of years of evolutionary hurdles just so you could scroll past without subscribing. Next time, we're going deeper into the Ice Age to uncover what actually happened in the final years of the Neanderthals.
It turns out our survival relied entirely on becoming exactly what the wild didn't expect.